Welcome to the Deployed Podcast, where strategy, ideas, and capital come to life.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for another episode of Deploy. I'm super excited for our new guest today. For those who don't know me, my name is Michael Kearse. I'm a real estate investor and founder of Ameripath USA. Over the last several years, I've helped investors deploy millions of affordable real estate that creates consistent, secure returns while helping families across the country achieve home ownership. I created Deploy because I realized everyone has capital, right? Whether it be money, knowledge, or relationships, but few deploy it intentionally. Okay. This show is all about the art and science of deployment and how performers turn potential into power. Today, my guest, I'm super excited. We have Ellissa Abbott. She's a certified nutritional wellness consultant, helping others create a life balance that prioritizes your well-being and celebrates all aspects of your true self. Coach Abbott, how are you? Thanks for joining me.
Hello, I'm doing great today. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
super
happy to
excited.
be here.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. So, right off the bat, how do you usually like introduce yourself to people who don't know your world or know you?
Typically, I introduce myself as someone who loves health and wellness. It's pretty much at the core of who I am. I grew up being extremely active in dance and soccer, and it just evolved also into my adulthood lifestyle. So I have always been the healthy friend, and I just kind of introduce myself as a friendly coach. Like, I just want to be the person that you can rely on to give you the advice that you need and might not know. I really like being a vessel of information for people.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you played sports growing up. Did you mention soccer? You said?
Hmm.
Did
Yep.
you, did you play any other sports?
I did. Soccer was kind of a non-negotiable because my dad and his dad and his dad, everybody played soccer. But as far as my fitness journey, I really believe it started in ballet, which was around age 7 for me. And I did that all the way until high school. So that really instilled a lot of discipline in me and coachability in me. And then in high school, I did rowing and I did a little bit of softball. What's most important is that actually all led to what I do now, which is running, and I love running. So,
Okay.
yes.
So I was going to ask a couple of things. So do you still play any sports today?
Well, that's what everything has turned into. I actually dabble in high rocks as well, but right now those 2 are my priorities. I love I can't say it enough how much I love fitness and moving my body and being able to move my body and helping others move their bodies. So it's really everything that I think about. But running is a new thing for me over the past 3 years. So that's my main sport right now. And yeah, we'll see what the future brings. I do cycle a bit here in New York City, but running is priority right now.
Okay. Now you mentioned high rocks. Is that like
Yes.
rock? Rock?
No, I'd love to tell you about it. So it's actually a competition that's become quite viral in the past couple years. I believe the very first one was back in 2017, but it's just catching a big wave now. They have them all over the world throughout the year. And what it is a competition that you do for time. And it's 8 different exercise stations that are sometimes challenging. I could name them off for you if you want.
Please.
Okay, you have your first station is a ski erg. Then you also have a station of walking lunges with a sandbag. You have farmer's carries with some pretty heavy kettlebells. There's one station that's, I believe it's 80 yards of a broad jump, and then you go into a burpee and you
Wow.
continue that the entire time.
Wow.
And one station is just the classic ski erg. What else do we have? Yes, the other 2 stations are the sled push and the sled pull. There's about 200 pounds on it. And then the very last station is wall balls. So you take a medicine ball, squat down to 90 degrees, and throw it up to whatever level they have up on the wall, and you do 100 of those. That's the very last station. But the catch is that before each station, you run 1 kilometer. So it's pushing you physically. And of course, because people are doing it for time, the most competitive people get really into it. And it's gone, like I said, it's quite a viral sensation right now. They have world championships now. The fastest woman has completed it in under an hour. So it's pretty fun and exciting. And when you meet other folks that are into it, you can talk shop, and multiple gyms have high rocks classes now. So it's a fun little pocket of the fitness world right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look into that. I know I'm in the city of Philadelphia, and I know from time to time they'll have different like competitions. I forgot what my friend always referred them to, not marathons, but you have to do all of these various
Hmm.
Kind of like obstacle courses.
Yes, like a Spartan race almost.
Yes, yes, spark. Yes.
Yeah, I've seen those, haven't gotten into them yet, but I'm thinking triathlon maybe, like a half triathlon soon or something like that.
Okay. If for all the listeners out there who are, trying to become healthier and fit, if there was one
Yes.
piece of advice that you could give them, what would it be?
To think about yourself. I think that we get really caught up in everything that life requires of us, but at the core of every single day and every night, you should be your priority. So just try to remember that when you have the choice to make a healthy choice, when you have the opportunity to make a healthy choice, I should say. So that's to me, remembering to drink your water. Maybe if you do have any supplements or vitamins that you need to be taking, trying to remember seriously that this is a part of your job. Like taking care of yourself is your job. And that's my piece of advice. I think it's kind of obvious and somewhat redundant, but for someone at my age, like making sure you create those healthy habits and keep them came up with this kind of phenomenon where it's like, okay, you're becoming your own parent. And it's basic thinking, but it's the best way for me to remember to like really take care of myself because I appreciate how my parents took care of me. But just try to parent yourself in the best way, take just you're important. That's my biggest piece of advice. Like, don't let anybody deter you from you.
I like it. I like it. I like I don't know, to your point, it sounds, redundant and simple, but I think as we get caught up in our daily lives, I know we do with the kids and the travel, your lifestyle really can kind of hinder you, right? Because you're so busy with your diet and things like that. Well, thanks for sharing that, Alyssa. So I want to go back for a second before all of the wins. Who were you before this version of success showed up?
I would say I've I am still definitely a free spirit, so that I think adds to my ability to be successful, but it was more reckless at a certain point in my life. I feel like I just didn't necessarily know what was important to me. I knew that I always enjoyed fitness and health and like I said, taking care of myself, but there was no organization to my life. I'll put it like that. But I think I've always been the same person, which is why this is really rewarding for me because I'm finally feel like I'm in my purpose, Before it was like I would dabble in these fields and it just feels like my feet weren't grounded, if that makes sense. I was just going through motions, but I didn't really have the meaning behind it. And I think that's the biggest contrast.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not sure.
interesting. When you say reckless, do you mean in relation to you dabbling within the diet, or do you mean something totally different when you talk about reckless?
I mean, totally different. Like, just not necessarily I'll put it like this. Now, because I see the impact that I can have on other people's life, it really motivates me to do everything that I do anyways, but make sure that I have knowledge behind it. It's somewhat of a responsibility, it feels like now, because I love to help people. But before, I feel like I had almost a judgmental outlook on the world. I just didn't have the mindset like to lead people really. I'm not sure if that makes the most sense the way I'm saying it, but that's what I mean in a reckless way. Like, I was having other part-time jobs that had nothing to do with health and wellness. And not that that's reckless, but it took me just so many different ins and outs of trying things with my time and kind of leading me nowhere. So I guess that's why it felt a little bit reckless, but I do believe that all of your experience is worth something. So it's not like it's worthless, but you can kind of go in circles for a while before you end up where you're supposed to be.
I completely understand where you're coming from. What
Yeah.
changed or what caused you to say, "Oh, yeah, this is my purpose," or what caused you to kinda switch from that perspective?
A couple things. I would say one of the biggest catapults was me moving to New York City, actually. I'm originally from Seattle, and I felt like my life was becoming really redundant and repetitive, and it was like hurting me to do it all the time. I'm like, and of course, I would spend a lot of my money like traveling to New York and being like, oh, this is where I want to build my life, and I don't want to leave. So it was enough of that. And then once getting here, realizing that, hey, okay, this was a big part of that. But now that you're here, it's important to kind of round out your dream self because moving to New York was my like life dream since a kid. And then I'm like, okay, well, shoot, you're literally physically here now. So now it's time to complete your dreams, like who you are as a person. And as I would meet people and put myself out there as far as fitness goes, I just met so many people and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're really doing this with their life. Like, I can do this too. So it
Interesting.
was inspiring for me.
That's interesting to hear. So, one, what made you want to live in New York? And then two, was it everything you thought it would be?
Hmm. It is everything I thought it would be, yes. And what inspired me to move here was literally how it made me feel. Like, I just think that some people have a chemical makeup that is in flow with this place, and some people don't. But our first time coming here, I was 8 years old, and we stayed at the Sheraton in Times Square, and it changed my life. Like, waking up and coming out to that street and just being like, "This is a real place." Like, the things that I saw on TV, it's right here, and it just changed how I thought. So ever since then, I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna live there as an adult." It just seems like that's for me, and of course, like I said, I kept spending money since, like, high school to come visit, and I just really saw myself living here as a young adult.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I remember
Mhm.
during COVID how Peloton exploded and
Mhm.
how fitness
Yeah,
in general because of people at home. I'm interested in hearing your perspective around that time. Were you deep into the fitness world? Did you feel as though that time really catapulted you? And tell me about that time and the whole Peloton craze.
definitely. It was interesting to see, and I was happy to see that. Like I said, I just love to see people pouring time into their self and their body. For me, it was a really big blessing because I actually moved into my own apartment about a month before COVID. So my whole New York story up to that moment was its own chapter, like another interview to talk about that kind of creativity. But from then, from that March, it was a really different time for me. And that was actually the time that I did start to research a certification. And that's when I got my NASM cert for nutrition because I had so much extra time. But it was funny because, of course, I love to go to the gym. So it was like, what am I going to do? And it's funny you brought up Peloton because about a month into COVID, I bought a bike, a really nice bike.
Who didn't buy one during COVID?
Yeah. So I don't have space for Peloton, of course. And I bought a really nice bike and it changed again, like my perspective of the city. I was biking, my gosh, like I was biking a lot, like sometimes 30 miles at a time. And it was just so cool to see the city that way, even though it wasn't a positive, I guess, circumstance. But it was so for somebody who's in love with New York City, like riding through Times Square and there's not somebody there, like just, it was just crazy to me. So as far as the fitness goes, I also bought dumbbells and I was going to the park by my house and I made up a really fun game for myself where I would like write post-its and draw random post-its to make my workout. It was just a fun time. I knew it was going to be an opportunity for me to not do anything. And I've never had that. So being able to have fun with my workouts, I even still have a little journal about this size where I was writing down like my daily circuits that I was doing at the park. So I think it was a good time if you had the mental capacity to work on yourself for sure.
No, I like how you said that because to your point, I kind of look at COVID the same way.
Hmm.
Kind of really dug into real estate. I was doing something a little bit before COVID, but during that time is when I really started to have a lot of success with real estate investing. I can remember getting back into running before COVID, but I picked it up again during COVID. And one of the things that I really, really enjoy about running is it's like a quiet time, right? It gives you time to like reflect and think while you're running. It's awesome. And then biking, I've been biking one time with my friends and it was amazing. So I
Yes.
what you mean about the amount of ground that you can cover, the city that you can see from that perspective. It was fun. I even told my friends maybe a couple months ago that we got to do that again. So it's kind of cool to hear you talk about biking and what you went through with COVID. So
And
you,
to that point, not to cut you off, but it makes you feel like a kid a little bit
yeah,
in the best way.
yeah, it
And
does.
like, there's not too many things that you can do that easily these days, that make you feel so like young and free. So I'm a big advocate for cycling.
That's a good point. I didn't think
Yeah.
about it. Yeah. So you built something incredible, but I know success is more mindset than mechanics. So I want to unpack how you think. Okay, Alyssa. So what principles or beliefs guide how you make decisions?
Principles and beliefs that help me and guide me to make decisions. Well, I do believe in God. And I feel like in conjunction with my huge imagination that I was given, it works well together because I feel like if you can picture your best scenario or your most ideal life and stuff like that, ultimately, not to be too religious on your platform, but like that's also what God wants for you. So if you can kind of keep those two rivers flowing, I think sometimes that can help you make good decisions because you're thinking about the future. You're thinking about what can lead me to my best self. Like, is this going to help later on or is this going to really hurt? So sometimes I think about just those type of things. Sometimes it can be a short decision. Sometimes it can be obviously a much bigger choice, but I would say those 2 things help me a lot. My brother is funny, my younger brother, he always brings up our mom. He's like, "I don't do anything bad because I would think about how mom would react," and I'm like, "Okay, I don't necessarily think about her, maybe I should in those scenarios," but for me, it's literally what's my best self gonna do and, like, what's gonna get me closer to the life that God wants for me.
I love it. I love it. I'm huge on imagination as well. And you said something very powerful, right? If you can imagine your best self or your ideal situation, because energy goes where attention, no, attention flows where attention goes, right? So the more that you can really take time, which a lot of people don't either have or do, to picture your ideal self, it's so powerful. I
Yes,
love how you worded that. Thank you so much.
of course.
How about risk and reward? How do you approach that?
Like I said, I had a reckless chapter for sure. I feel like there is no risk or there is no reward without a risk. Like if you're not scared, then you're probably don't have too much to gain. Like, I'm all about it. I feel even when I get ready for a race and stuff, I get a little nervous and I just really love the feeling, it's like it's not a big risk because you know you're prepared, but it's just always the feeling of not necessarily knowing the outcome. And that is so important for me. I feel like people have to walk that line more. Some people you'll see them say, do something every single day that scares you. And like that's in my eyes a parallel to what you're talking about because you need to continue to push that boundary even in your head because you're never going to think you're capable of anything if you don't risk something. So I think that's really important. I really do. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Listen, we talk a lot here also about how people deploy their capital, not just financially, but intellectually and relationally. I'm interested in seeing what that looks like for you as well. When you think of capital, what does that word mean to you?
Capital means to me something of value in a basic term, I guess. To me, that's what it means. Like you said, it doesn't always have to be money, but something that you might have and willing to expend in some way.
Okay. Or deploy.
Yes, deploy. That's the word. Yes, that's what we're using. Yes.
I'm trying to use
I forgot.
my podcast name. Pardon me.
Yes.
But so how do you decide where to deploy your capital? Like time, money, attention?
Yeah. I make these decisions. I'm a big believer in you need to deal with how you feel. I love planning. I use paper calendars mostly. I have a couple like hanging in my crib, and then I have little ones like this, like just little. And then a regular planner with the days bigger so I can plan everything. But that's how I guess, lay it out. And then as a day to day comes, I really go off of how I feel. And can I do this? Can I do this at the capacity I want to do this? Do I need to cancel something? Am I not going to make it to this other thing? Because mentally, I've noticed when you do try to do too much, you can really not have any capital left, right? So for me, that's kind of how I do it. I kind of also think that I'm capable of any and everything. So sometimes my planner, my calendar is like really, really full. So I need to have that moment where I'm like, let's really be responsible. Let's see what let's see what I can deploy, right? Like I don't think this is smart anymore. And it's just having again like taking care of myself, having those moments with myself as a responsible adult versus the reckless person who, you know, might not be making all the best choices.
I'm interested in another interview. I'm interested in exploring this reckless Alyssa because I can't picture it.
It no, it's because it doesn't look I don't look like what I've been through, that's why, like, it never looked like that, it was just, like, my lifestyle, like, the Mr. Krabs meme, when the whole thing is, like, blurry, that's kinda how I put that chapter because it was a lot going on. And I just didn't know what I was gonna be. And it's funny because I always have this one recollection of walking home with one of my best friends, and this was probably about 2000 like 15. We were walking home from doing something. But mind you, she has known she wanted to be a photographer and videographer since like high school. And she's well into her career now, lives in LA. I'm so proud of her. But she's also been like a friend that was extremely honest with me. We met in our 20s. So it wasn't like she had anything to lose as our friendship grew. And it was funny because she asked me, she was like, I just wonder, like, what are you going to be? And I'll never forget it because I was like, damn, girl, I don't know. I have
Look
no idea.
at you now.
Yeah. So it's not a bad thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, are there any opportunities that are getting your attention these days?
In what realm?
Whether it be career opportunities with your consulting, maybe financially, relationshiply with people. I know you mentioned off camera that you just started your YouTube channel. Like,
Mhm.
what are you really like focusing on right now?
Good point. Yes. I would say content creation is something that I've been picking up the pace on. I'm trying to grow my soul. Sorry, somebody called me. But I would say right now that's my biggest priority because in the past year, I think I ran last year 15 races and I traveled for the majority of them. So being able to see that up close was brand new for me and it really, really exciting. So I want basically all of my years to look kind of like that going forward. My biggest priority right now is to run one of the world major marathons. That's next for me. I ran my very first full marathon last month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, it was literally so amazing. Last year is definitely going to go down as one of the best years of my life because of the culmination of all the running I did and how it just snowballed into a beautiful full marathon last month in Hawaii. So I want to do that, but again and again and again. So that's my priority going forward. I want to of course, run my first major this year, but ultimately I want to get my 7-star medal. Like I said, I'm looking at a half triathlon, so kind of upping my fitness and starting to challenge myself because I think again with the risk and reward thing, that's where you kind of enjoy life the most. I didn't know that I was going to run a marathon, but out of it being a hobby and just doing it repetitively and noticing, hey, there's a whole world out here where you can risk more and gain more, like that just propelled me to want to do more. So those are my next steps. I'll be making a lot of content and it's going to be about running and fitness.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Mhm.
But in regard to running, are there any apps that you really enjoy or that you use most?
Nope. I'm really old school with that. I do not. Everyone's so Strava. I don't know.
How do you like track your time?
I mean, I use my Apple Watch. But to be honest, I got a new phone, I think in like October, and I never even hooked up my Apple old person of me, but I just never linked it. So I'm not proud of this. I was thinking about getting like a new a new watch because as far as training goes, it's important to obviously be able to track things, track your progress. So yeah, that was very honest moment coming from me, but moving forward, I think I might get maybe a Jarman or some other type of watch because the triathlon athletes kind of frown upon the Apple Watch. So, yeah, there's better for us, I hear. So that's what I'll probably use in the future to track, but right now I just plan basically I take that back. I take that back. There's one app that coaches introduced to me, but I only used it during the marathon training season. I don't use it just to go on random runs. So I will mention that and it's a great app and it's called BO2 and it's actually a great app if you have a full training plan. But that was really lovely. Like I had all of my Tuesday speed work on a calendar for 3 months straight, as well as my Saturday long runs and the mileage that needed to be completed for 3 months straight, and it was all in the app. So that was very helpful.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
How
I
do you,
forgot about that.
thank you for that. How do you manage rest? It seems like you train a lot.
Mm,
You like to take risks.
mhm.
You seem like a go-getter. Are you one of those like, I don't sleep?
No, I love sleeping. I want this year to implement more of a hard morning routine because I don't ever wanna be one of those people that's like, "I don't need to sleep." I just don't believe in that. I really think as an athlete that pushes yourself, you need to treat sleep as important as a workout. Like, it's not a game, and that's something that I need to be more serious about. I need to implement, like I've said at the beginning, parenting yourself and treating yourself like how you know somebody who loves you would make you take care of yourself. Like, that's, again, most important. So, sometimes I'm talking to myself too, but that I love to rest and just being even more intentional with it. Like, if I'm hanging out late at night, okay, turn the TV off, like, go to bed. But I would say people just need to listen to their body also. I think, again, having those moments where you really check in with yourself and, like, say, "Hey, am I pushing it too far? Do I need to just sit down?" Even getting in bed an hour before you're supposed to go to bed has really changed my ability to kind of wind down. But I have a lot of tricks and tips. I was actually going to make a video about that. But like turning your lights down, if you have settings on your TV, turning them different brightnesses at nighttime really changes things. So there's a lot of mental things that you can do to be more restful with and for yourself. And yes, it's very extremely important. Even like dimming your lights in your home at a certain hour, having certain scents on at a certain hour. These are all things that I do because I like to just trick myself into a restful peace of mind, if that makes sense.
That's what's cool about the human experience in the mind is that we can trick ourselves, kind of like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love it. It's
awesome.
fun.
So we always like to end with perspective because that's what this show is all about, perspective. And I just want to ask you two more questions before we get out of here.
No problem.
What does legacy mean to you?
Well, that's a good one. The first thing I think about when I think about legacy is the impact that you make on people. It's definitely, people would say, something that you leave behind. But yeah, to me, it's simply what people think about when they think of you. And hopefully it's a positive message. But yeah, I think it's really your life story. Like if you had a little book that came with you to describe what you want to leave behind, that would be your legacy. And I don't think enough people think about that, to be honest.
I like that. A little book. And what would it say about you? I like that. I never thought about it that way. Thanks for sharing that.
Of
And
course.
my last question is what's one lesson about money or life
Hmm.
you want to pass on to your kids or your younger self? All those great experiences you had.
I don't know. I feel like just to stay really optimistic. Like I am and I always have been, but just to always encourage any person that's at a previous point in life, that like life is beautiful. Life is so amazing. And it's also what you make it. So you can do anything really. And just believing that is just, I think, at the core of what makes your life amazing because you have to actually believe that for you to try and do cool things or push yourself or grow or do anything new. Like everything that sparks more is over there.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Alyssa, thank you so much. That's all the
You're
time.
welcome.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
everyone. Thanks again for joining us for another episode. We'll see you
Yes.
in the next one.
See you on the next one. Bye.
You've been watching the Deployed podcast, where we deploy insight, capital, and growth.